Dave Scott Hub Media. I'm joined by Gene Montgomery, Norfolk Sports Hall of Recognition. Gene, it's been a long time since you and I have talked. It's great to see you. How are you?
Great. It's wonderful, and thanks for all you do. It's
I'm
great.
I'm glad we got this opportunity to chat because the Sports Hall, I've watched you guys over the years, some just awesome inductees and just what you guys do to sort of promote it in the community is so important. I think, growing up, being an athlete and loving athletics, I just thought that this is such a good thing that you guys do to promote and show kids and adults that it's important to recognize these folks and the accomplishments that they do in their sporting worlds.
For sure. We have a lot of really, truly elite athletes and coaches and volunteers in the sports community, and they need to be recognized and promoted, and it's wonderful. I guess we don't do a lot to promote media about the sports hall, but we do have plaques of all the inductees, and there's quite a few at the rec center, and we need to recognize people for sure.
And it's usually the quiet fella or gal that you don't recognize that's did these amazing things. And when you go to the pool and you see them, it's always you're like, I didn't know that, right? It's always cool to see what these folks have done and achieved over the years.
Exactly. I was just looking through our book. We had George Pond do a 25th anniversary book, and he had put everybody in there. And I was just browsing through it, and I thought, wow, wow, I didn't know that about him. I see him every week and playing basketball, but he was a rower and went to wherever. And it's amazing because we need to recognize these people and keep it current.
Yeah, keep it current. And let's talk about that for a bit because you guys are always looking for volunteers to get involved, right?
Mm, yes, we are. We're down on our board now because a lot of the people who have started the sports hall, they have, been had other priorities, and they're getting older, and so we have some basic people that we have a core, but we certainly need some more volunteers. Anybody who's involved in sports. And I know sometimes people are busy, they're coaching their own kids, but we would relish the fact that we could have some more volunteers.
And I want to talk for a little bit about the nomination process too, because I don't think people realize how easy it is just to download it. You know what I mean? If you've got somebody in mind, you know that guy that's coached forever. This is a really cool honor that you can bestow upon them, and you just fill in the form and send it into you guys for the next year, right?
Exactly. And it is pretty easy. And we had someone this year that wasn't too tech savvy, and they just took pictures and sent it in and then mailed it in. So it was great. It
Yeah.
was wonderful.
I do appreciate that because I think the recognition, when you recognize those athletes in the community, be it, like you said, a volunteer or a coach, it raises that standard even more. It gets more people involved because they see the
True.
value in what these folks are doing. You and I know, I mean, I've coached forever. I know you have too. It's a thankless job sometimes, but it's nice when somebody says thanks, or when that kid grows up and they come back and say, "Hey, remember you coached me when?" Right? And that those rewards you can't beat. I think those are the people we want to get into the sports hall to help out too.
Exactly. It is wonderful when people do come back and say thank you. And it's just wonderful to see, especially the young kids. You're providing something for them that they wouldn't get anywhere else. And we need more volunteers for sure.
Volunteers is critical, and also you guys. I don't think people realize you guys are self sufficient. You don't get funding, do you?
No, we don't. I was just reading at some of the initial promotions of the sports hall, and they decided that they wouldn't become a council of the county. And I
Okay.
think that's probably a good thing, but we're in a spot now where we need a little bit of money for our induction dinner, and we hope that people will realize that anything will help. A little bit of sponsor donation will help. So we're self-sufficient. We usually have a golf tournament every 2 years, and we had a trivia night planned, and but that doesn't bring in a lot of money. But we don't have any excess, and we want to promote and recognize our athletes through the induction dinner.
It's
Yeah.
a great the dinner, fantastic because it's been going on for what? How long has it been? Like 15, 16, 17 years at least? More than that, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, the sports hall's been going on for over 30 years,
Yeah, there it
and
is.
yeah, but the dinners are, it's a gala event, right? And, people come together, and we really recognize, all the athletes and coaches, so it's great.
And I think too, I was fortunate enough years and years ago with the magazine to Red. And when Red was alive, he invited me to his place a number of times in Toronto, and just to sit and listen to those stories of old Norfolk. You know what I mean? Like he would tell me stories about how his dad was such a great hockey player that he played in Simcoe, but Port Dover gave him a new sled, so he came and played in Port Dover. And I thought, oh, those legendary things that you hear, right? And how his dad one time they held the train in Port Dover, well, until his dad finished farming so that he could get on the train to go to Cambridge to play hockey. Like
I
it's
know.
just those legendary stories that we don't want to lose that are,
No,
you they
exactly,
represent who we are. You know what I mean?
that's right, and our history. I remember him saying that he was out on in Dover on the ice on the lake.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought? And we can't lose that, you
No, and
know?
it's I always he's when he was alive, was sitting with him and he was so humble. He was so Norfolk, right? You wouldn't hear he wasn't going to toot his own horn, and he was just going to always, make sure you were comfortable. Like it was the hospitality was incredible, right? But
Yeah,
there's folks like that we got to look back on, and reflect. I know that there's a lot of great athletes in all sports, that over the years, like Rob Blake and all those guys, and Axford, and just there's such a plethora and swimmers and runners and all that. And I just appreciate that they always remain loyal to where they came from. They're always those Norfolk people, and I think that's where it's important for people to for the sports hall recognition to have those people come back and say, hey, this is where we came from. This is what we believe in.
exactly, and to support what we're doing and to support the county. Yeah, it's great.
You guys will be probably announcing soon your inductees. Please let me know. I think that would be
Yes,
exciting when you
we
guys are
will.
ready. And
We you mentioned John Axford, from Dover. He was, inducted, 2 years ago, but he couldn't be at the dinner, so we hope that he will be this year. And we have Jim Turkowitz, Sean
oh,
Jameson, who I coached in soccer, but he was very, prolific in baseball, and David Howard, Pat Murphy, and Walter Croa. So
wow,
there's a variety of
yeah.
sports. Yeah, so it's gonna be
And
great.
is Turk still Brantford way? I think, isn't he?
I think so. But
Yeah,
he was here and he left with the OPP to go up to Aurelia and back, but many people still remember him.
yeah. And
Sure.
those types of folks too, right? Like I think 60s, 70s, 80s, the fabric of the sport in our community was so important, and because of that, you saw these other great things happen with all the hockey players and all that. And I think that getting back to that and sort of having that base again is important for our community. And just you and I were talking about this off air, but just getting back out and enjoying sports wherever you may
Exactly.
be.
Yep, for sure. We want kids to be happy and healthy, and, we want to see them progress for
Yeah.
sure.
This is amazing. So how would people get a hold of you guys if they want to make a donation, or is there a phone number or a website, email?
Sure. There's a website, www.norfolkcountysportshall.ca,
Okay,
or they could connect with me individually. It's just gmontgomery2@gmail.com.
perfect.
So anybody, we'll accept any donation, even $20 if people want to. That's great.
It's
It's
a
really
and it goes, like you said, it helps support, gets all the stuff ready for this year's induction dinner and all that. And I think it's just important for folks to realize, they you don't, you can buy a ticket and go to the dinner, right?
that's right,
Like,
exact
have a good meal and hear some stories, and just
yes,
enjoy the evening. That's for sure.
for sure, for sure.
Thanks for doing this, Gene. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Dave, for promoting it, and we need to get the message out, and we need to remember everybody who is involved and their families too, right?
Yeah, for sure, and the lineage, like you said, when you talk about somebody that's from the past, that's
Mm,
in the sports hall, that lineage carries on somewhere, right? And
yes,
there's other athletes in that family, so,
that's
other
right.
people get involved. Alright, I'm gonna let you go, and thanks for doing this today.
Okay, thanks so much, Dave. I really appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.